Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
What's my timer? Did the timer go off?
It did.
It did? All right. So I'm just going to start. Welcome back to Clicks and Bricks, Season 4, Episode 7. We're here with Alan Lazaros from Next Level University. Super excited to have him on. Our audiences are just a perfect meld match, which is kind of rare for Clicks and Bricks. Alan, thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to have you on the show.
Ken, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I want to offer gratitude first because in the beginning, 10 years ago, when I got in this space, I started a little company called Alan Lazaros, LLC, what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. I wanted to bring personal development to the school systems. Good luck getting into high schools and colleges with that tagline. And no one cared. It was crickets. So I'm very grateful now to any show I go on. I really appreciate it because in the beginning, like I said, no one cared. So thank you for having me.
Nobody cares at the beginning. Actually, nobody ever cares but yourself, and that's okay.
They care more now. I tell you what, they care more now, Ken. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Gratefulness is such a huge practice, and it seems so simple, but it takes a very long time. And I don't know that I have it mastered, but I'm pretty good at it now. I'm way better than I used to be, for sure. But it is a challenging practice to get into and understand.
Every day.
Moving forward, though, Next Level University. Tell us a little bit about what Next Level University is and why you started it.
So the reason we started it is very similar to that tagline, what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. So I'm going to take you back a little bit to provide context because I think it's not just the message, it's the messenger, and you need to know who you're talking to. So tough start. One of the interesting things about my life now, Ken, is that I started to look like someone who started on third base, right? Born and raised in Massachusetts. I got all these awards in the background if you're on video, but it couldn't be, I playfully joke, I couldn't even see the ballpark. Tough start. Didn't talk about this until my late 20s, early 30s. Birth father died in a car in 1991 when he was 28, when I was 2. It's a tough start. I had an older sister who was 6, a mom who was 31, stay-at-home mom. I had a stepfather named Steve Lazaros from age 3 to 14. So my real birth last name is McCorkle. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. John McCorkle was my dad. Big Irish Catholic family, born and raised in Massachusetts. And we didn't associate much with the McCorkles when we were trying to be sort of the Lazaroses. I took his last name, I think, around age 7. And this was from 1991, basically early 2000s, .com era. And he worked for a company called AGFA. They did hospital computers during the .com bubble. So it was boats and ski trips and motorcycles and snowmobiles. And we had a yacht and an apartment building. And I playfully refer to that part of my life as boats and BS. The economy was growing like crazy, particularly in the US, but globally. And my mom and stepdad kind of ran amok, in my opinion. And they had a lot of fun. And they brought us with us for that fun. And then my stepdad left at 14, and I went from sort of boats and ski trips and Xbox and Christmas presents to I get free lunch at school now because our income is so low. My mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. How are we going to keep the house in the family? Even if I do get into college, it's $50,000 a year. WPI, it's like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. How am I going to afford that? And we didn't even have cable. So we weren't going to starve by any means, but it was a drastic shift when my stepdad left. So my stepdad leaves, takes an entire extended family with him. We don't associate much with the McCorkles anymore. 14 was the hardest year of my life, and I didn't know this at the time. Same year, I'm a freshman in high school. Mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, her sister, and we get ostracized from her side of the family. So I kind of lose 3 full families by the time I'm 14. To this day, if you include my stepdad's side and my mom's side, I've only seen or spoken to 2 human beings from both of those sides to this day. And the McCorkles we reassociated with, but it was kind of like seeing the ghost of Christmas past a little bit because I looked just like my dad, John, so it was never really the same. So abandonment issues, that kind of stuff. I became 2 trauma responses to that. Number 1, I became a social coward, aka a chameleon, fit in, do not lose any more friends and family. But behind the scenes when no one was watching, I had drive like you wouldn't fucking believe. And I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to swear on this medium. Okay.
Figure it out.
The drive, aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Because at 14, no trust fund, no generational wealth, no dad. We're in some serious trouble here. And so I just had these huge freaking dreams. And I got straight A's through all of high school. I got what's called the President's Award, signed by George W. Bush behind me. And I got into college. and I got all the scholarships and financial aid I could get my freaking hands on. And I got my computer engineering degree, got my master's in business, and then it was off to the races. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2012, master's in 2013, and the economy was coming back after '08 in a big way. And I rode that wave big. I mean, all the tech companies, iRobots, Sensata Technologies, Oz Development, a bunch of different tech companies. I eventually landed a company called Cognex. They sell industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities all across the world. I manage a territory. I do inside sales, then outside sales engineer. And I did Vermont, Connecticut, Western Massachusetts. That was my territory. Then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26 at the time. I'm already a 1% global earner. I'm almost at $200,000 per year US. I paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year. I had $150,000 in a Vanguard account. I was used to being broke in high school and college, so I didn't need much. No mortgage, no kids. Drove a 2004 Volkswagen Passat, which actually ended up saving my life. And so I just decided to get wealthy by investing into tech companies that I knew would win. And I say no in quotes because no one knows, but I always had a knack for it. And then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26, my fault, crossed the double yellows, dark winter night in 2015, head-on collision, not pretty. Thank you, Volkswagen, because I used to call this car the Tank. It was a 2004 Volkswagen Passat. I used to call it the Tank, German-engineered steel trap of a car. I've since found out it's one of the safest cars ever. And I hit a lift-kitted pickup truck, so they were okay too. So no one was killed, no one was permanently damaged, but we were all definitely rattled. For sure. This was not a fender bender. And I'm sitting in an armchair drinking whiskey, questioning my entire existence because my dad died in a car when he was 28. I've seen pictures of his car and I saw pictures of my car and they don't look very different. So this is the second chance my dad never got. And that's when I reflected and just saw everything from my past that I was running from. The prove my value type of thing. When my stepdad left, abandonment, all that. And that's when I found personal development, man. And I went all in on it. So now my three things are fitness, personal development, and business. And fitness, personal development, and business, I have dialed each of those up to 11. And that was 10 years ago. And so now I have a podcast, 18-person team, 24 clients currently. One of them is 4 times a week. And 13 podcasters and business owners that we work with every single month, paying clients. We produce 64 podcasts now. So it's gotten big. It's exciting, but it all started from that car accident where I just reevaluated my existence and decided that I wanted to help people reach their full potential, which is tough because not a lot of people care a lot about that.
It's hard for a lot of people to understand where they're at. And, we're in a transformative time on the planet to where personal development is going to be one of the biggest things that humanity needs to be working on. We have not had the proper school systems, the education for what we're getting ready to go into.
Agreed.
And with AI, robotics, cryptocurrency, and CRISPR technology, those 4 components, and they're all open sourced.
Yeah.
Anybody can download them and start working on these things tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And intelligence is completely democratized. Labor's democratized. We're in a different world. And I just want to talk about this for a second because it's profound and the world needs to know about this. And
the most profound of any shift in human history, hands down.
Yeah.
The next closest is the internet.
To talk to people that are in this mindset right now. A
100%.
Default human is consistently looking for fear. And what I've learned through marriage and business and life and fatherhood and all those other things, as an automator and a guy that loves Kanbans in a way that is probably absurd, I automate all of my life problems away so that I can spend time pondering on real big problems. How do we feed the planet? How do we produce things? How do we do these things? So I like to spend my cycles on those. What I found is that most people don't like to spend their cycles on those things. They want smaller problems to overcome. And when the world doesn't have those smaller problems, people create them.
Yes.
And it's
well said.
A very bizarre thing.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to go into a world of abundance, truly abundant. Like the AI can find, veins of aluminum, veins of gold and coal, like we've never been able to do before, find disease early, all of these things that are wildly abundant, and mankind is not ready for it.
That's why I created NLU. That's exactly it. I was in industrial automation. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is fire. Yeah. I was in industrial automation, and think of some big companies. I used to be, too cowardly to share the actual companies. Okay, Ben & Jerry's, Frito-Lay, manufacturing facilities, right? And you go in and you see on the walls pictures of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And there's thousands of workers. And now it's all robotics and one floor manager. And I go in And I kid you not, this is when I had a big moment. I sold some equipment. So machine vision equipment is like the eyes of robotics. So Cognex does machine vision. They also do data, so barcodes for Amazon, stuff like that. And essentially, the eyes of robotics allow robots to do what humans used to do. And I would sell equipment that, imagine ice cream cartons going down a line, and it takes pictures, 60 pictures per 10 seconds. And there used to be people actually looking, if you're on YouTube, you'll see me doing this, people actually looking for quality assurance to make sure each carton was good. Now you don't need that. Robots don't get sick. Machine equipment doesn't get sick. So I come in, I'm a sales engineer. I have my applied engineer. We create a system, we automate, and we make a big commission, and people lose jobs. So this is what I saw happening that freaked me out. First of all, automation is a good thing overall. I do believe that to be true. Ever since the first plow with plowing fields, we are able to create more abundance. So don't villainize automation, but bear with me. I'm an engineer. Everything's numbers for me. Do not villainize me for this. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. This is the truth, whether you like it or not. Statistically speaking, the less educated population tends to have more children and have them younger. Okay, so imagine a population that is exponentially increasing faster than the educated population, and the jobs available to those people exponentially decreasing. There is a cross point where that gets very bad for a lot of people. And I saw this happening, and I was a part of it. And be the change you wish to see in the world is a quote that I live by. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, automation is going to happen with or without me, right? You walk into a Panera Bread, you see the kiosk, eventually there's going to be no one around behind the counter. I mean, this is happening quick. There's already malls with robots, the whole nine. And it's not going to happen as quick as I think. I've been waiting for self-driving cars for 10 freaking years. People are too scared. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's all coming.
It's here in some cities.
Yeah, exactly. I have a self-driving car. It's supervisor mode. It was unbelievable. And they kind of took a step back after some stuff. The point that I'm making, though, is all of the jobs that don't require you to think are being automated exponentially. And unfortunately, the less educated population is not working on their brain as much as would benefit them in the future. And I'm going to give you one example of a guy I adore. So his name's Derek, and I'll never forget, I saw a post of his, and this is someone who was a listener of our show, and I still talk to Derek. I love Derek. But Derek was bragging about not having a computer. I'm a computer engineer. I was mining for Bitcoin in my dorm room in 2007. So I'm the super nerd of the super nerds, even though I don't look like it. And when I hear someone bragging about not having a computer, my brain goes, you're fucked. Now, there's a lot of layers as to why that is. And it made me sad because I like Derek. Derek's great. But Derek, you're in some serious trouble, dude. You need to get a computer and get it now. And you need to learn how to use it. Because most of the jobs that do not involve tech will be automated. Not all of them, but most of them. So if you're not in a creative space or in technology, the future of the 21st century is going to be very hard for you to flourish in. I always say, don't sell horses when cars are invented. People get mad at me. It's like, well, I love horses. I know. I get it. That's not the point. It's a metaphor, right? I love horses too. The point that I'm making is that the future is going to be different than the past, exponentially different. It's called the law of accelerating returns. And if you're not preparing for it now, you are in serious trouble. So instead of making these machines better, I changed my whole life around making people better. And so instead of taking jobs, I now help people create their own. And Next Level University is helping people believe in themselves, self-belief, self-worth, self-efficacy, self-esteem, self-respect, self-trust, self-discipline, so that you can build a future starting now. But if you are not working on yourself, you are in some serious trouble because your iPhone's updating every day. My car updates overnight. These robots are updating rapidly. And if you are not updating your own software, your own hardware, your own self, so I'm Allan version 3.6. Okay, I'm 36 years old. Allan version 3.6 is 100,000 times better, smarter than Allan 1.6 when I was 16 years old and I didn't know anything. So at the end of the day, that's what we're in the real business of, updating the hardware and software of human beings. And I'm a computer engineer, so that's the terms I think in. And if you aren't updating yourself and if you're not working on yourself, the future isn't bright for you. And that makes me very sad because what's possible and what people actually implement are very different.
Absolutely. But I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, just a little.
Talk to me.
Our stories aren't that different. I became Ken Cox at the age of 13 in my adoption. I never knew my biological father. I've had the near-death car accident. I was in a halo from my head and all the way down. I couldn't walk for 18 months and all those fun things. So,
whoa,
I've seen this whole, come to Jesus, find religion, all these moments in my life. And I've figured out how to to navigate through those with owning my own truth through that process.
Mhm.
And I believe that AI, robotics create an environment to where people can be, hopefully, whatever they want. A computer has been my best friend since the age of 7 because I'm dyslexic and I can't read or write very well. So I was on a Brother word processor. I've probably been on a computer more than most people on this planet, right?
Nice.
Today, I manage about 25,000 computers I have that are mine, that I run, right? So I
Whoa.
am deep into tech. Went to MIT for AI and business, right? So
Nice.
I believe that we're sitting at a point in time that it's either going to be dystopia or utopia. And I think it's up to the people, the me and you of the world, to protect the guy that doesn't want the technology. I think if you don't want tech, you shouldn't have to be forced into it. And I think if you want to live off the land and all those things, that's a beautiful place to live. And I think the planet's big enough for all of those communities to live. But I agree with you. If you want to excel, if you want to prosper, if you want a life other than hunt and gathering,
Yeah.
want to live,
Well,
if you want to live in the mainstream society of America or any other first world country, you're going to have to really embrace the tech and the self, right? And because this stuff gets pretty wild pretty quickly.
I actually don't think we're challenged at all. I think that we're on the same page. We're on the same page in the sense of like updating yourself is the answer. Because I do think in these terms, right? So a computer has hardware, software, firmware, operating system. Computers were built from understanding biology.
Yeah.
The human brain and neuroscience is how we build computers. So they're not identical, obviously, but your brain is more powerful than any current tech. But if you don't use it, you don't improve it. So
I'll disagree there.
Go ahead.
I think the current tech is stronger than the human brain, at least what the humans can currently utilize.
No one computer is.
Okay.
But a collective AI that can use all computers simultaneously, maybe.
Yeah, when you start thinking in loops and you understand that there's rogue AIs already there's hundreds of thousands of rogue AIs that are running, that are plugged in, that nobody knows about, that are just doing things on the internet. That's happening right now, which is completely bizarre, right? And the only way to turn them off is to find them and unplug them, to kill them.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. But I mean, we could get off in this philosophical world of AI
and the Matrix
deep, pretty quick.
Yeah, I love it. Let's keep going down that whole. Well, here, you drive. You drive. I'm WPI at MIT guy right now. I love it. This is good.
We are restrained on time today, and we'll probably need to figure out some time to just sit down and record a whole just brain dump of just fun conversation.
We'll do round 2 for sure. This is good.
It would be just a ton of fun.
Awesome.
But so a lot of coaches talk about mindset. All right, that's no different. But what do you teach that actually moves the needle and cuts through the fluff?
So unfortunately, most people are more externally driven than internally driven, myself included, before 26. So I start from the outside in. People say it's the journey, not the destination, but what they don't realize is the destination you choose in advance dictates the journey. So it's very different when I drove from Boston to Los Angeles in my early 20s versus from Boston 30 minutes south. So, well, it's about the journey. The journey is dictated on goals. And if your goals are small, you might stay small. You might not learn. So this is what I do as a coach. We do dreams, goals, priorities, metrics, habits, skills, and identity. Once you have, most people's story to themselves is, well, I just don't know how. If I knew how, I would do it. No, I'll give you how, and then you won't do it still. And then it's identity. So once I give you your dream statement, or we co-create it, it's 10 plus years. So it's one statement, one sentence. It's like a true north that guides you. It's like a compass. You never really get there. It's an infinite game. Then you have goals, quarterly goals. There's a book called the 12-week year, and I think it's really powerful. I do 90 days at a time, achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. I always have quarterly goals. I think it's big enough to where you can move the needle, but small enough to where people can grab onto it. So dreams, goals, priorities, which is where you're going to put your time, effort, and money. So for me, it's coaching, training, podcasting. Dreams, goals, priorities, metrics. Metrics is like your weight or your gross revenue or whatever. You mentioned a bunch of metrics already at 25,000 computer. I'm curious. I don't know what that means yet, but I do know you're in numbers.
But
MIT,
my day jobs, I operate data centers.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Okay, cool. Beautiful. So super relevant, by the way, because that's a big infrastructure for the future. So dreams, goals, priorities, metrics, habits. Habits are your daily routines, and then identity work, skills and sub-skills. So all my clients track metrics and habits. All my clients have this streamlining is what I call it. It's streamline yourself towards your dreams. Call it dreamlining. And basically I reverse engineer outcomes for people. what you find when you do that is you find out, and I've been doing this for a decade, so I'm not just talking. I have 11,135 coaching sessions, trainings, and podcasts. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that so you know I'm not just talking. This is what I do. I've already done 2 today. Okay. So basically what you find is once you reverse engineer people's goals and dreams, you realize, okay, maybe that's not what I really want. How to get it, I definitely don't want, which is the formula to get to something. People say, I want to be healthy, wealthy, and in love. Okay. Do you want to exercise daily? Do you want to spend less and invest the difference intelligently and then check your, stats every day? And do you want to do the gratitude game and date night and all kinds of stuff? So for me, everyone, want to be healthy, wealthy, and love. Everyone raised their hand. But then you go beneath that iceberg of what it takes to be healthy, wealthy, and in love. And everyone's like, you know what? Maybe not. I'd rather watch Netflix. The average currently for Netflix is 2 hours, 38 minutes. I crunched the numbers, 2 hours, 38 minutes yearly comes to over 80 8-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Everybody wants the baby and nobody wants the labor pains.
That's what I'm saying. But you can't have one without the other. And so if you learn how to want the process more than the results will be inevitable. But the only way to do that and to leverage Pareto is to have the result that you choose in advance and then realize that's not what it was about the whole time. So then you get to identity. So once you reverse engineer all this stuff, what you find is you're not doing it. And then you have to realize you're afraid. You're afraid of success. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of embarrassment. You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of being too much or too little. Almost everything can come down to that. So you and I are nerding out a bit. In a room at a barbecue, for example, where no one knows much about tech, we're just going to trigger everybody. They're not going to be interested. And we're not going to be able to be our full selves. People are like, just be yourself. Okay, like a wrecking ball in every room. Like, what are we doing here? Now that I know you're an MIT guy and I'm a WPI guy, now I have a reference point where we can connect. But most people don't care about any of this, what we're talking about right now. So what I've found in coaching is that once you give people the answers to the test of the actual process necessary, required, science of achievement, mathematically reverse engineered, they don't do it. And the reason they don't do it is because they are afraid of something. That's the identity work.
Yes.
That's the what are you actually afraid of? For me, I found out I was afraid of success more than I was of failure because success to me meant I outgrew people I love. And if I want X goal, I have to leave Y person, and abandonment was my issue. But I didn't know that at the time because why would you be, it makes no sense to be afraid of success. Oh, that must be so hard. Believe in yourself so much and be afraid of success.
Yeah.
But you don't understand the social pain. So there's a real world and the social world. In the real world, the science of achievement doesn't care about your feelings. You got to do what you got to do. In the social world, what the economy pays for and what your friends and family want of you is usually in conflict with what's necessary to actually achieve it.
It's a lonely game for sure. I'm going to challenge you again.
Love it.
This is fun. In my book, Reclaim Sobriety, and I don't do business coaching at all. I sell business services. And in my boxing school, where I have the female fighter of the year for 2024, amateur fighter of the year. And
Nice.
I've got an amazing team, very, very.
Ken, you got it going on.
We start with identity first before anything else. And I believe, I have a very firm belief after going through everything that I've been through in my life that if you choose what you're going to identify as, and at the boxing school and in sobriety, we identify as gladiators, right? We've stripped off all of our armor and we fight raw.
Nice.
Right. And it's been a beautiful way to do it. And that's how I coach is I start with identity. And I build like, this is your new identity. This is who you are. This is what you are. And we do that by starting with core values, our hierarchy of values every single day. Right. And that's of the identity that you want to be. Right.
Ken, so you're doing micro to macro. I'm doing macro to micro. We're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing.
You're dealing with adults and I'm dealing with kids generally. So I think that's.
Is that what are you doing with kids?
My specialty is autistic kids in boxing, but.
Cool, man.
I've got very few of those kids. Most of them just average teenagers.
I've been learning that macroscopic is hard for people. According to the research, 70% of people are microscopic thinkers and apparently 30% are macroscopic. I feel like that's not true, honestly, because Kevin always says, no one knows what the hell you're talking about, Alan, because you talk so high level, right? It's clouds and dirt. I think that there's a small percentage of the population that can do both simultaneously. I feel like I can think micro and macro. So it's seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, quarters, years, decades, life. You're going to the now, I'm going to the lifetime, and we're both collapsing into the truth. And I think that both approaches work, but it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And to me, people come to me for what they think they want. And then I have to work backwards from that. No one wants personal development. What they need is personal development. People come to you for what they think they want. They stick around for what they actually need. Yeah, and that's a very delicate balance.
Interesting that we both ended at the self-identity. And that is so important. For a long time, I started my data center company at the age of 24. I'm a founder.
Whoa.
I was, the first employee. I was there when we made the name, and I didn't know what we were doing. I didn't realize what we were building. I mean, we literally built a data center. And at the time I was just like, oh, we're doing this stuff for fantasy sports. And, like it's just servers and computers, and these are what I play with. So yeah, we'll do this. And it paid
Right
well.
place,
So
right time, Ken. I'll tell you what, man.
I
Good
left
for
the
you.
entertainment industry to do that. And I've had just a phenomenal 25 years. I've got to work with some of the biggest companies, or I got to work
The
with
biggest companies in the world.
the biggest companies in the world. Right?
Yeah,
I
of
built
course.
Peabody Energy's data center before
Yep.
their bankruptcy. I host communications for Bayer, the largest company on the planet right now.
Whoa.
It all started because I was living in the moment. But the point is that I did not consider myself an entrepreneur until maybe 6 years ago.
Okay. Love it.
When Entrepreneur magazine wrote an article about me was when I'm like, oh, I guess I'm an entrepreneur. Right. And to be quite honest, until then, I didn't exercise my entrepreneurial skills nearly as much as I do today. Because I thought myself as a business owner or operator, not as an entrepreneur. And changing my mindset changed everything.
Yeah. So my question is, what did you deploy more as an entrepreneur that you laid dormant before that? And
I
also,
had to
did
go
you
way
not
back
have
into
goals
myself.
when you say that again?
I've never had goals. I hate goals.
Ken,
Never had a goal in my life.
you are just winging it and crushing it?
No, I live under two philosophies in life. This moment right now, and how will I feel about my actions today when I'm sitting on my deathbed?
Okay.
Those are the only two moments in my life that I consider.
That's very unique. Very, very unique. Coaching many people from all over the world. Deeply, not just, these are hour-long sessions, 4 times a week, one of them. That has worked for you because you have some unique unconscious competencies that they don't. That does not work for other people.
You've got to be dumped into holes for weeks, months, and years by yourself to come up with the mindset that I have.
Okay. Well, so you're not recommending that. You're just saying that.
I'm saying that it's a good place to be if you can. If you can strip the worries away from what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, or what if this happens, what if that happens, right? I run a data center. I've got 25 UPSs that could pop at any second. Generator could go off, the compressors pop. Like there's a million things that could go wrong in the next second. I can't worry about those things.
Yeah.
I got to do what I'm enjoying the most right now. And that's okay.
But there's meta and sub skills underneath that allows you to, it's not like you started there. You started this at 24 and you had many overwhelming moments, and you had to grow into the person who could handle all that uncertainty, right?
Absolutely. Lots of hours of coaching. Tony Robbins, Billie Jean coach, right? I've had some of the best coaches on the planet, and I searched them out. And at the end of the day,
did they ever tell you how unique you are in that?
Some people do.
Okay. Do you not? Because one of the things that I think this is the best way I can articulate it. For the longest time, I didn't understand why other people didn't have bigger goals and why they didn't achieve more. I was projecting. So you mentioned MIT, right? Okay. So for you, math and science always came easy, right?
I thought MIT school didn't come easy. No.
Math and science?
Math and science come wildly easy to me as long as it's not under the guise of authoritarianism.
Okay. So long-term strategic thinking comes easy? Okay. So a lot of that stuff is prefrontal cortex stuff that a lot of people haven't developed. Okay. There's something called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex that's associated with willpower. It's one of the books we're reading in book club right now.
Oh, nice.
And so do you feel like you struggle with self-discipline?
I have in my life. I don't any longer.
Okay. One of the things that I've found in coaching people is I unconsciously projected. I didn't mean to. So if you look at all the math modalities of thinking, so I think there's 4 modalities of thinking. I think there's pictures, images, and vision, the visionaries. I think there's words, concepts, and conversation. I think that's most people. Most people, words, concepts, and conversation. There's intuition, vibe, and energy. That's my lowest. That's the one that women tend to have better than men. And then there's mathematics, numbers, rationality, that kind of thing. Equations, formulas. We all have all 4, but we have a really big one and a really sucky one. So my really big one is math. And I think yours is too, which is why you're spouting numbers.
It can be.
Okay. My really bad one is vibe, energy, and intuition. Because I grew up in a very low vibe environment.
Gotcha.
And I didn't know it. Okay. And it sounds like that might be true for you too. I'm not sure. What are your 4? And again, I'm not here to coach you. I think this is fascinating. So feel free to take it back if you'd like. But of those 4 modalities of thinking, we are projecting the math for sure.
I definitely, when I think in imagery, life gets very challenging. So I have to block a lot of that out.
Okay.
Because the chunks of data get too big for me. And,
okay.
If I'm thinking in imagery, then the rest of the other three will just disappear for me. And I will literally...
Which one's your main one? Is it mathematics first? You think in numbers?
Emotion.
In emotion. So like if I asked you how many countries are on planet Earth?
I would have no clue.
No clue. Okay, 195. All right, so maybe it's not math first.
It's what I feel is important. If
Okay.
I feel it's important, I don't consider it. And the number of countries is going to change pretty drastically all the time. That's authoritarianism, and that's not something I care for.
Have you always felt extremely unique? Statistically speaking, do you feel like you easily belong?
Yeah, but I'm a great chameleon, right? I can fit into, I really like at the boxing school, I go to East St. Louis, murder capital of the world. I hang out with those guys on a regular basis, right?
Okay.
I like to go out in the streets, and I love to talk with the homeless and shake their hands and learn about them. But, I've also written a book with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. Right. So I'm a firm believer. I think the worst line that Barack Obama ever said was that there's only one America. I think anybody that believes that is absurd. They've not traveled our country. They've not hit boots on the street. They've not lived the life of a person in our country. I think that there's thousands of Americas. There's all these little
tribes.
pockets of
communities.
tribes and communities and things like that. And they're all very different. And
of
they
course.
all should be respected and adored and loved and understood. Nice. Right. And that's how part of my belief. That's
not the typical MIT grad. All good. Not the typical MIT grad. Cool. Cool, man. I'll let you take the interview back. Sorry for derailing us.
So yeah, I'm
fascinated by you. That's all. Just fascinated.
We're going to be wrapping up here in a little bit because I know you've got some timelines, and I definitely want to do this again. If somebody wants to go into Next Level University, we're just going to do some shameless pitching here for a second for you, right? Okay. Next Level University, mindset, fitness, who you are as a human. And then from there, you've got another package for, okay, I'm ready to start my business. And we talked a little bit beforehand, and this is important, people, because I've started businesses, I've run them, I've lost a lot of them. I didn't do things right. Health and fitness, at the age of 39, I went into liver disease. I lost my partner, the guy that started my company with me.
Whoa.
Peabody Energy filed bankruptcy. I lost $4 million a year in one day. Like, all of this happened to me in about 4 or 5 months. And I had to figure out how to live my life and keep the business open throughout those struggles. Health and fitness as an entrepreneur is wildly important.
Was that in 08?
Say it again?
Was that in 08? 2008?
16.
16, yeah. Okay.
2017 was a wildly challenging year. Peabody Energy, Arch Coal, both filed bankruptcy. I managed both of their data centers. It was a big, big hit, something that every banker told me to file bankruptcy. I went into a $4 million a year deficit in 2017.
Whoa. Good for you for climbing out. Yeah.
Everybody said to quit. Everybody told me to shut it down.
Good for you, man.
It took about 2.5 years to get out of the deficit. And then, we're almost out of debt.
Nice. Good for you,
and I think
man.
we'll be out of debt. We'll be out of debt and back to prosperous this year, by far.
Love it. Good for you, Ken. Way to stick it out. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. And if I took over the interview, I apologize. It's my curiosity, insatiable curiosity, man. Yeah, we have a blast. Okay,
so a good time. That's all I care about.
Same. Next Level University, Podcast Growth University, Business Growth University. The company that we have built is predicated on reaching your full potential. And we do that in 3 ways. So it's a triangle. You've got Next Level University is health, wealth, and love, how to be a well-rounded human being, success principles, and personal development. Podcast Growth University, my business partner, Kevin, runs that. It helps you grow, scale, start, monetize your podcast. Then Business Growth University is people. We call them listeners, longers, and business owners. Listeners want to learn from us. Longers want to build their own podcast, their own community. And then business owners need to generate revenue like we did. Otherwise, you'd go bankrupt and have to quit, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what it is. Level up yourself, level up your podcast, level up your business. If you have a sincere interest to reach your true potential, please reach out. What I've come to realize is what I know you've come to realize over the years, which is not everyone is for everyone. I have my absolutely people and my absolutely not people. My absolutely people are people who want to reach their potential, who have work ethic. They want to work. They don't want big rewards for minimal effort.
Yes.
So if you're out there and you want big rewards for minimal effort, I am not going to be your guy. I'm a striver, not an arriver. I'm all for leverage. I'm all for Pareto, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to work, we're not going to get along. I'm going to be a pain in your butt. So if you want to reach your full potential and work for it, I'm going to be your best friend. If not, please don't reach out under any circumstance. So I appreciate you having me, Ken. It's been awesome. And we'll definitely do a round 2.
Alan, it comes to the time of the show. The Diary of a CEO is my favorite podcast. And at the end of every show, Stephen asks his guest for a question. You agree to take one. And this question is from Julian Treasurer. This is a little different. What is your favorite sound?
I grew up on a small lake, big pond, and it was like a little piece of paradise is what we called it. And it was private. There was only 3 people, and the land around it was private, and it was really nice. My childhood was tough, but that part was magnificent. And I mean magnificent. And you could hear the peepers like you wouldn't believe in the summertime. And we live in a beautiful condo complex in Massachusetts now, and we have this little section where there's a lot of peepers. It's very small, like more like a puddle than a lake.
Peeper?
A peeper, bullfrogs, crickets, that whole thing, the peepers. That orchestra at night when all the frogs are going, the bullfrogs are and the crickets and everything are going. That's my favorite sound. It reminds me of home, the good part of home, because that was my sort of escape when things weren't good between my mom and stepdad.
Beautiful. I love it. My current favorite sound is frequency 963. That's it.
Okay, cool, man.
Alan, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Amazing episode. We definitely need to get together and just brain dump and have a good time with exercising our minds. It would be a whole lot of fun. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. You are a very interesting cat. I appreciate it. And great conversations change lives. So thank you for having me.
Awesome, Alan. Thank you.
Appreciate it.